Hey guys, Stealth here. I'm looking at the mighty Challenger. Now, before patch 0.11, this was a pretty mediocre vehicle. It had a bit of armor, but with the gun you weren't really able to penetrate that many targets. Patch 0.11 changed all that. Now, this tank is one of the best vehicles at tier 7. I have had a lot of fun playing this thing. I have it elited right now, or at the best status, which is renowned. And I already have the Ariete, but I'm going to definitely keep the Challenger because it is such an incredibly strong vehicle. Now, how strong exactly is it? The armor on this thing is incredible. And that is by far, I suppose you could say, the major selling point of the Challenger. Your armor at the front of the hull is 420. That may not be so impressive, but have a look at the modifier. You have an armor penetration modifier of 1.55, which means you're not looking at 420 millimeters of frontal armor, you're looking at 651 millimeters of frontal armor. That's a lot of armor. And in fact, it is just 651 if it were flat, but this thing is angled at such a degree that most vehicles are just going to harmlessly bounce off of this armor without doing any damage. Now, not only that, but you have an incredibly high modifier against shape charges, so HGMs will have a really hard time going through your armor. Let's have a look at that. Let's say your turret is the only part of the vehicle that's sticking out, because you found a nice hold down position, you're taking HGM fire. The HGM is going to try and aim at the front of your turret, which is 436 millimeters of armor base. Now you got a modifier of 2.7, so you're actually, wait for it, looking at 1177 millimeters of effective armor. That's over a meter of armor. That is just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. And you also get a pretty decent modifier against HE, again 1.55. Now, you may be thinking, okay, why is that useful? Who fires HE? Artillery. Artillery fires HE. More often than not, I was hit by artillery in this vehicle, and it just harmlessly bounced off. It just didn't do anything. And that is, again, the major strength of the Challenger. This armor is so ridiculously good that unless the enemy get to your side or your rear, they're going to have a very hard time penetrating this tank. That's how good this vehicle is. Now, in order to balance that thing, all that armor has to have some sort of weak spot, or they have to have some sort of balancing factor for this tank. And that's the gun. The gun isn't that good. If you look at the upgrade tree here, you can see that the best armor penetration shell that you get has a penetration of 423 millimeters. Now, that used to be a lot less before the patch hit, but it is still not that much. Let's have a look, for example, at the other tier 7s. Let's say you have a Leopard 2 with the best round. It has a penetration of 440, so it's 17 millimeters more. The M1 has something which is, I believe, pretty similar, 429. But then, of course, there is something that is going to completely obliterate everything. The T80. This thing has incredibly high amount of penetration. Well, 479. That is sufficiently or significantly more than the Challenger can actually penetrate. However, even a T80 is going to have a lot of trouble penetrating that frontal armor unless they're aiming for a weak spot. So that is, I suppose you could say, the balancing factor for this tank. It has extremely good armor, but the gun is not that great. The gun also has another setback. As you can see here in the firepower slots, I don't get to unlock heat ammo. And if you are someone who plays a lot in PvE, where you got a lot of armored fighting vehicles that you can shoot at, that's a problem. Because it means that you do not have the heat rounds which are going to do a lot of damage. You're going to have to rely on your armor penetration. And what I usually do is go for the most heavily armored targets in order to get the maximum damage done. The overmatch damage, or the overmatch damage reduction of 15% that was in the game, has been removed. And that's something that also really benefits the challenger, because now you're going to do pretty much maximum damage to any target that you can see. But the reason that I'm focusing on heavily armored targets is because that way you can draw the fire of those heavily armored targets, which are usually tanks. You have the armor to bounce virtually any round that's going to come in, but your buddies might not. So by drawing fire, you can be the one that's going to take the fire, take the damage, and if your armor is not going to take it, then at least you have a massive hit point pool of 2800 hit points. In order to get that, you also have to do quite a bit of investing in the armor unlocking. You got the Mark III ERA applique and 2 armor retrofit slots. And having 2 of these slots signifies what the main role of the Challenger 1 is. It's pretty much what it says on the tin. It's tanking. You are there to absorb the hits, take the damage, and then dish it back out. That's what this thing does extremely well. Mobility of the Challenger is not that good. You have a base engine which is the L60 Mark 7A, and it's going to take you 10 seconds or 10.5 seconds to get up to 32 kph. This thing is not fast to get moving. The better engine, the CV12, will finally get you to 7.3 seconds, so that's a pretty significant boost to your acceleration, and you will absolutely see effects of this as you get the engine. You can unlock smoke grenades in order to allow yourself a sort of quick exit. You can unlock a thermal sight, which will help you be more effective in spotting through bushes. And with a tech retrofit slot, you can put any kind of additional package that you might need for the Challenger. Now, with the Challenger, I played quite a bit of PvE. And PvE at the moment seems to be heavily infested with main battle tanks, which led me to install a retrofit for the technology retrofit slot that allowed me to do better spotting. And the spotting got me quite a bit of XP, because any target that you spot and that then gets damaged by your teammates is going to count towards your damage potential. So getting a tech retrofit slot and getting, for example, the augmented optics in that will definitely help you. Now let's look at the other stats of the tank. As I mentioned, mobility is not that good. It's going to take you 7.5 seconds to accelerate. And the top speed is only 55. So don't expect the Challenger to go from A to B quickly, but you can go from A to B safely, and that's something that is worth a lot in this game. Camouflage, it has a camouflage rating of 0.05, which is bad, but then again the Challenger is a very, very big object, and I think it even has a negative camo value, which means that it can be spotted way beyond its normal spotting range. You're going to see that as I'm going to be doing PvP and PvE match. Vision range with the retrofit that I have installed is 416, which is pretty nice for a main battle tank. Gun depression at -7 is okay. Now, one thing that you need to know is that the main gun depression works when you're looking down the front of the tank. You can see that there's an incline for, or a depression slot for the gun. That's where you can aim down to get that -7. If you're looking over the back of the tank, you get no such thing. You don't get to get that much gun depression, simply because you're looking right at the engine block. So if you have a vehicle that's coming up behind you, you will need to turn both the tank and the gun in order to get the gun depression that you may need to hit a weak spot. Make sure you have the capacity to turn. Don't be locked into a single position. Accuracy spread of 0.09 is really nice, and it is required for this tank because it will allow you to go and aim for weak spots on enemy vehicles. Targeting time of 2.36 is also something that's very nice, but I have managed to get this only through a retrofit, so let's have a look at those. The retrofit that I'm using is the gyroscopic stabilizer, and it's going to help with my aim time and my reload time. Especially the aim time is important because it means I don't have to stick out my nose as long as I normally would. And the reload time, of course, is going to help with your DPS a little bit. For the armor reinforcements, I have the hull reinforcement Mark II, giving me 10% more hit points. I installed the reinforced engine housing, which also gives me 5% more hit points, as well as 25% engine hit points. You are a pretty lovely target for artillery because you're slow and big. And what will happen is that you will take damage from artillery. So having a bit more hit points on your engine, which already is not the strongest part of this tank as far as mobility goes, this will help you keep this tank in one piece and keep your engine pretty much geared up all the time. And finally, as mentioned, the Mark I optics. I do have the Mark II, I just haven't installed them yet because I only unlocked them last night. Consumables, all the standard stuff, high value repair kits and a high tier field maintenance kit. You will need this because sometimes you're going to run out of ammo, especially if you're one of the last tanks left in PvE. As far as the ammo goes, I'm pretty much running exclusively with armor penetration. For this video, I'll also bring a couple of hash rounds to show you what those things can do. Of course, hash rounds don't do as much damage, but they will start to knock out modules and damage tanks that way. For the commander, I was using Maximilian Koenig. I won't really need him anymore because I really got the reputation for this vehicle completed. So I think that Mr. Holtzklau is going to be another interesting unit, or another interesting guy to pick. Let's go with him. That might even get me a bit more range on the optics. No, it's still 416. Okay, I think that covers it as far as the talking is concerned. Let's get into a PvP match. Alright, we're loading in pipelines. Now, one thing that you need to know about the Challenger is that you have to be pretty aggressive with this tank. When I started to play it in PvP, I was quite reluctant to take hits. But as I noticed how much armor this thing actually has and how hard it is to kill this vehicle, I found that you can be pretty much a bully on the battlefield. You got the best armor of your tier, and the only way to make sure that you get a good result in this tank is to start using that armor. So what I'm going to do is push down the 8-9 line right here and go through the refinery. I have the armor to take the hits. Most of the units are not able to penetrate me, and hopefully I can get some help with the other challengers. Now, one thing that you see a lot currently is people who are all driving challengers. As you can see, there's 3 on the enemy team. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on my team. And more and more people are starting to discover the Challenger and seeing just how hard it is to kill these things. And pretty much how easy it is to get one. Because all you got to do is grind the Chieftain, and for a pretty low XP price you can get yourself a Challenger. Of course, with the Ariete, that's where the price really starts to pick up, or the grinding starts to pick up. The grind for the Challenger 1 to the Ariete is 540,000 XP. The Ariete to the Challenger 2 is over 1 million. I'm not kidding, it's over 1 million XP. Now I'm being very aggressive here. I've been spotted, that's alright. You can spot me all you want, you're not going to penetrate me anyway. T-72A up there. Probably not going to get a shot at him yet. Oh, he's already dead. There is a Leopard 2 behind me, as well as some challengers. T-80. T-80 shouldn't be sitting sideways onto me. 400 damage with a shot. Not that much for a tier 7, but, you know, it works. There's probably at least... Yep, here's a T-80. Yeah, Sunshine, you shouldn't be coming up that aggressive against a Challenger. You might find yourself regretting that. Snapshot. Now this is something... Oop, he fired an ATGM into my side. This is something that you will see happen a lot. This thing, the Challenger, loses a track pretty much whatever you do. I'm not sure what the tracks for the Challenger are made out of, but it seems like they are pretty much made of paper. See that? That thing hit me for 210 damage because they only tried to go through my gunner's hatch. That's pretty much the only weak spot that you have. Bounced off of him. There's too many tanks here that I haven't seen yet, so I'm going to be pretty careful as I'm going to push up here. Bounced off. He's down. Trying to get a bit more aggressive here. Got an Abrams up there. I can use the corpse of this T-80 as a bit of cover. Got Spectre 1 here. Spectre 1 is not that well hidden. This, what I'm aiming at right now, I'm not sure if it's the commander's hatch or something like that. It's pretty much the only weak spot that this tank has at the front. There just aren't that many good spots to hit this vehicle. But if you're going to angle your armor like that, I might be able to hit something else. Destroy the module. Yeah, that's not going to do a lot. Let's see if I can get some other targets. I might be able to go through that challenge. Yep, got a good shot into the Abrams. This Leopard's also being pretty aggressive. Too aggressive, Sunshine. Tracked him even. Let's try and get a bit more attention on him, as people can mercilessly shoot him in the side. Oh, snapshot. I was hoping to get that Leopard 2 out of play. Is he just not aware of how weak he's positioned? Oh, whatever it is, it works for me. Come on, do it again. Yeah, not really. Incoming Arty. Now, you may have heard that whoosh, that was the ERA that blew up. I'm going to let this other Challenger take the lead, because he has more hit points than I do. And I'm going to try and push over this ridgeline to get some side shots into these tanks here. We are winning as far as numbers goes, but we are also being capped quite heavily there. Let's see if I can do a one-on-one with this T-80. Snapshot there on the move. That Abrams is good as dead. He has no idea that I'm over here. Ram in and killed him. Of course, lost my track again in the process. Track's up. It doesn't really matter where I'm going to go now, because anywhere that I will go, I'm going to arrive too late. I'm probably not going to get in time to deal with the artillery. I'm probably not going to be in time to get back to base, because the rest of the Challenger force, as well as a couple of T-80s, are taking that Leopard apart. So I might as well try to get some shots in here. Weasel up there. The Weasel is something that you should never underestimate, not even in a Challenger. Those things, if they get behind you and they start to pummel your rear with that autocannon, they can take a lot of hit points off. In PvE, I once lost, I think, 600 to 800 hit points to one of those little monsters. Simply because I wasn't angling my armor. I wasn't putting my strongest armor towards him. So, 3000 damage done. I took 1000 damage, or at least I took more damage, but I got 1000 hit points lost. There's a difference, and I'm going to show you right now in the results screen what I mean by that. Now, don't look at the experience. There's currently a ×3 modifier going on. So I didn't actually get 26,000 XP for that. More like 4,000, I think. 4, maybe 4.5. I did make top team, and that's even despite not doing the most damage. It's down to this. Spotting damage. This is because I was so aggressive, and you have the armor to keep yourself alive through all that. And with the augmented optics, I have a pretty good chance of spotting targets as they pop up. So by doing this, I got 2900 base XP for this battle. And now let me show you what I mean with the amount of damage that I took. I mitigated 1383 points of damage. So I actually took 1300 points damage more than the 1000 damage that I actually received. And I pretty much mitigated more than half of the damage that I should have taken. Okay, this wasn't the best PvP match, but I hope it got you a bit of an idea of how aggressive you can be with this vehicle. Now let's take it into a PvE match and show you just how hard it is to kill a challenger. Okay, Operation Umbrella. This is the airport map, if you're not familiar with it. I'm doing this together with a platoon of a Terminator and T-72A, a T-80 and a Leopard 2A5. Again, I'm going to be very aggressive with this tank because I feel that that is what this tank just excels at more than some of the others. Now notice how it takes a while for this tank to get moving. It's not that fast accelerating, especially once you compare it to the Leopard there. Pressing H, by the way, in a darker map like this will put on your headlights. You can see them being lit up there. Here we go, BMD-4s. Move to intercept and use whatever force necessary. Now, one thing that you need to know about the Challenger, it has a pretty good gun, but you also have a vehicle of somewhere in the range of 70 tons. So ramming stuff actually becomes viable. And I have gotten quite a few ramming kills just by slamming my vehicle into the enemy targets. And we're going to try and solo this area as the Leopard 2A5 is going to spawn this position with the Terminator. And I'm going to see if I can put some other units out of their existence. There's a Charlie 2 there, BMD. See if I can ram this thing. That thing bounced off of my ERA, or actually the ERA just mitigated the damage there. I don't want these things behind me. Look at that, they're just hammering into me, but they're not actually doing that much damage. Tracked me. And now you can see that I don't have the gun depression to take care of this vehicle. So let's deal with his buddy instead. Then swing the gun and the tank around in order to get a shot on him. Come on. There you go. There's now the BMD-4 off my left, but I have plenty of hit points. Even missed. Shit. Artillery's trying to hit me, but not really doing a good job at it. T-72A buddy up in the north took care of that BMD-4 that was engaging me. Takes care of that. It seems that the Leo 2A5 is struggling more with the Challenger 2 there than I had expected. Terminator should have flanked really, but I'm going to try and rush over there and do damage to those tanks from the rear. Let's see, I'm currently second as far as damage goes. Now, I'm not surprised that the Leopard 2A5 is struggling with the Challenger 2, because from what I've heard about it, the Challenger 2 from the front is virtually impossible to penetrate. From the rear, or the sides, that's a completely different story. Of course I got tracked again. Challenger 2 bounced off of me, but I'm not going to let him turn around. That's why I'm pushing right into him right now. Ricocheted. I should aim a bit higher. Thing turned blue just as I pulled the trigger.
Incoming Artie! Incoming Artie! Nice hit! Incoming!
Quite a bit of damage. I even lost my gun.
Track prepared! Identify target.
Now I'm going to take out the T-80 so my buddies can take out the Leopard.
Ready to fire!
Because I had a much better shot at the rear of the T-80 and they had a much better shot at the rear of the Challenger. You can see that the Challenger, my Challenger currently has quite a few damaged modules, but it's still operating at 2100 hit points. So I'm absolutely not... Jesus. I'm absolutely not worried about the amount of damage that I've taken so far.
Well done, Black Company.
That's one down. And that's all supply trucks done.
Is a win for humanity. Ammo up!
Always ask people if they're ready for the cap trigger, because some people like to get into a specific position. Some people just don't respond when I ask them. Looks like they're just roaming. Terminator's ready, T-72A is ready, Leopard 2 is in good position. Okay. I've been spotted by the Challenger 1 behind me. Oh, Ramka, other flank. Ooh, this is doing a lot of damage. Took the PvE repair kit there. What did so much damage? Probably the Ramka shooting into my rear. Pretty much surrounded here. I also got a 182 and a Charlie off my rear. So I'm going to position myself next to the Leo so I don't have to worry about flanking threats. He's out. He's going to be next. Because for now I had a decent side shots on this M1A2. He's looking right at me. Let's angle my armor towards him. Ariete has his side to me. I'm always looking at what tanks have their sides or rear towards me so that I can engage those. Oh, that's nice. Jesus. Situational awareness fuck up there. Not really any good way to penetrate this tank, except like that. Unfortunately we lost our tier 8. Another massive hit bounced off my armor there. He's just moving his ass all over the place now. Come on. Turn back. Thank you. If you don't have a shot, just wait for it.
Identify target.
I'm a bit worried about that Challenger 1 behind me though. That's him down. Superior Leopard 2 popped up. I don't have the gun depression to shoot this thing yet. This dip will help. Oh, got tracked again. He doesn't have the gun depression to hit me. This gun is just aimlessly looking up. T-80 took care of that. T-80 took care of the Ariete. Now we're getting somewhere. I might... No, I'm not going to go through the side armor of that thing probably. Yep, just got a good position there. Tracked him. Leopard 2 coming in. I have to start thinking about capping though. If we don't, then we're going to lose this PvE match. I have no interest in doing that. Let's hope that these are the last few tanks though. Rear of the turret. Trying to get a good shot on this Leopard. Shit, there's more. Terminator finally figures out that he needs to start capping. Because the moment I get hit, we get the cap reset. Gonna switch to hash. Oh, never mind.
Loader, Sabo.
Sabo. 20 seconds. 10,000 damage done. Almost as much as T80. It's just a little bit less damage on his
Identify
part.
target. Hostile. PC.
There, that's the thing that was shooting me with his autocannon.
Penetrate.
Easy pickings for the Terminator. And last shot at the Challenger, and that blew up the Hilo instead.
Good work.
So,
Your
PvE mission
reinforcements are
done.
incoming. That's the first step in driving out the MPAA extremists.
Now, what you may have seen in this match is that I can pretty much tank anything except for rapid autocannon fire in my side, and not the front side of the tank, but mostly towards the rear and the rear of the tank itself. If you have an autocannon or a fast firing gun positioned there, you're in a lot of trouble. Anywhere else and you can take it. Now again, got a very good amount of spotting damage there. Made top of the team, and especially this part's going to be interesting. Look at that. Potential damage mitigated. 9,500. This is what you get a Challenger 1 for. It bounces everything. Non-penetrating hits, 6.2 thousand damage. Potential damage from ricochets, so these things just didn't even touch the tank. 3,000 points. Actual damage received, 2,000. I have a damage mitigation ratio of 4.45. So I took a massive amount of damage, and the tank just took it all and survived. That's what the Challenger does. Now my net results aren't that good, because I used my auto fire extinguisher, and I would recommend this consumable on this tank because I have found that it catches fire fairly often, and if you have a manual fire extinguisher you're going to lose a lot of hit points by doing that. And of course the high tier field maintenance kit is what I needed because my hit points were going down too low and I might have been killed there. That made me still, with premium, get a net profit of 16,000 and of course 11,000 XP, but this is much more accurate, 2,400, because there is currently that boost going on, that ×3 multiplier, because it's the Halloween weekend. Okay, I hope that with this video review you got a bit of an idea of how powerful this vehicle is. I am definitely going to keep this vehicle, because now that I have it renowned, I can unlock, or I can use this vehicle to grind grind XP into free XP. That 26,000 match and the 11,000 match that I just got now are all going into my free XP slot. Of course, that is with the bonus weekend going on, but this means that a high tier tank such as this, which as far as I'm concerned is definitely worth keeping, even though it's worth something like 6 million. It is definitely a good XP grinder. So even if you have it fully unlocked, you'll still get to enjoy it. Anyway, that's it for this video review. Let me know if you have any questions. If it helped you get a good opinion on this tank, please hit like. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do so by hitting subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.